大家好，我是 Jack。最近我们有一件特别的事情，就是我们弄了一台钢琴到家里，当然不是我们自己搬上来的，而是专业的公司帮我们搬上来的。因为我们目前住的地方是老公寓，没有电梯，也没有阳台，可以把钢琴调进来。所以这次的搬琴大哥们真的非常厉害。最后，我们也会跟大家分享，像我们这样的小资族要怎么样买一台钢琴呢？希望对大家有帮助哦。接下来我都会用英文，所以你们要练习英文的话，就开英文的字幕，或是不开任何字幕，或是你也可以开中文字幕就好。
Okay, so first you can see that the piano is down on the street. It's in multiple parts. That black basket has the legs and pedals in it, and there's the lid of the piano. And here's the body all wrapped up in saran wrap and blankets. And they're moving the legs and the pedals in. Then they'll take the lid in. And this is actually really amazing because this piano in total weighs about 220 to 280 kilograms. That was the estimate I saw. And so the body here itself has to weigh over 200 kilograms. And that's just two men moving it up the staircase. This is one of the older apartments in Taiwan that has the very narrow staircase and the steep stairs. And just these two men are moving it up. He's wearing a strap that goes underneath the front end of the piano, and it took a lot of work, but they were able to get it all the way up the stairs, and they're about to put it on a cart to move it into our place. And from there, it's all about unwrapping the piano, putting on the legs, putting it into position, and getting it all set up. And while they do that, I thought that we could talk a little bit about why learn the piano, or why own a piano even. So why learn the piano? I think it is a great instrument to get started into music. I know it's very complex. You have to use both hands at the same time, and there are so many keys on it. But if you think about it, it has a very simple relationship to the notes. Each key is one note. On some instruments like guitar, you can play the same note in multiple places, but in piano it has this very intuitive one-to-one relationship. Every key is a note. And there's so much music for piano, so much history of music, so many different styles of music. So there's a lot to explore, a lot to learn. I got started in piano, I think the way many people get started. My parents bought music lessons for me. And like many kids, I didn't really enjoy piano lessons. I think when you're young, it feels very hard, and especially if you start in classical training like I did, you have to work on a lot of scales and arpeggios, and that can be boring practice for a child. But to you parents who are giving your children music lessons, don't give up if they don't want to continue. Only later did I really appreciate that I had music lessons. And while they're finishing setting up the piano here, they're putting on the pedals and the lid, and they're going to move it into position. Then we're going to move on to the second part, which is the tuning of the piano. Later that day, the tuner came, and here he's already started. The first thing to do when tuning the piano is to hit a tuning fork, which is a piece of metal that vibrates at a specific note. And then he tuned the first note to that tuning fork. Now he's tuning all of the keys to each other by ear. Yes, by ear. Now look here, you can see some of the tools he's using. He put felt ribbons, those red ribbons, between strings to keep them from vibrating, so he can focus specifically on the notes that he wants to hear. He was also using some wedges, those black wedges, to stop certain notes from ringing. And why does he tune the whole piano by ear? You can tune a piano with a an electronic tuner. But interestingly enough, if you tune every note perfectly to the electronic tuner, the piano will not sound in tune. The notes actually need to be tuned a little bit off, but to each other, so that in total, the piano will sound in tune. I don't understand it completely, but it takes a lot of skill. And look at this, he is now removing the keyboard. This whole part can be removed, and he's going to adjust something called the action. The action is how fast you can press the same note again. So after you've pressed the note, how soon can you press it again? Now, this is something that I didn't know, but the action can only be adjusted on grand pianos. This kind of piano, the large kind of piano, is called a grand piano. The ones that are like a box, an upright box, we call an upright piano. And of course, there are electronic keyboards, and all the different kinds of pianos have a good use. But the grand piano is the only kind of piano that you can adjust the action, which is how fast you can play the key again. So let's say you are learning the piano. You are investing in piano lessons for your children. Why would you want to own a piano? Well, when you start out, it's probably good enough to just play the piano at the music school or at the music teacher's house. But eventually you're going to need your own piano to practice. It's perfectly fine to start out with an electric keyboard. I would highly recommend a full-size keyboard that has all 88 keys. And also look for one that has weighted keys. That means the keys actually have a weight that feels kind of like an upright or a grand piano. But the advantage of an electronic piano is then it always stays in tune. But eventually you'll want to move to an upright piano or maybe even a grand piano. Now, how can you afford a grand piano? And that is an excellent question. I mean, pianos are not cheap, especially because you will probably want to invest in a good piano, like a Yamaha. Yamaha is a trusted brand for pianos. And I would just think of it as an investment. For us, we were very fortunate to find this second-hand piano, and we negotiated with the seller to be able to pay for it in installments, pay for it over time. And it also was a piano that needed a little bit of help. It needed to be fixed up. Parts of it were repainted, and the strings were replaced. So maybe you can find a second-hand piano and get a good price on it. And just think of it as an investment. Unlike a car, unless you buy a very expensive or historic car, cars often lose value. But if you buy a piano, it will probably last your whole lifetime if you take care of it, and it will probably keep its value or increase in value as long as it's a good brand and a good model. So as you can see, he's done a great job tuning up the piano, getting it all set up and polished with piano polish. Piano polish smells great, by the way. And even a little mark in the lid, he was able to fix for us. He has a special kind of little paste here that he can paint in, and it will match the surface of the piano. So he did a great job, and we are so fortunate. This is our first time owning a piano, and I'm so glad that you could share this experience with us. And I hope it encourages you to maybe consider owning a piano for yourself. Thanks for watching. Do you like music? Then make sure you follow us, because we'll have more videos on music in the future. Or what are you interested in? What would you like to see us make a video about? You can let us know in the comments section. Until next time.